It feels like the two big companies people like to ask for the FNAF license to go to is Neca and Jakks Pacific. Those are the two I see a lot. And when I made a video about how I'd like Jakks Pacific to do a FNAF license, a lot of the comments were about how Neca should get the FNAF license, and I don't think a lot of people actually know that Neca did have the FNAF license at one point. They just chose to make this with it. Now, I feel like Neca is a very generally loved company in the toy industry. They make very affordable figures that are very high quality. Their typical thing is $35 for a really detailed figure and a crap ton of accessories. And while I don't own many of their figures myself, I do like their release model a lot and think it would work really well with FNAF, especially with all the other horror properties they've worked with. So I completely understand why people would want them to make FNAF stuff so much, because it kinda just makes sense. And back in 2016 and 2017, that was the big boom of FNAF merch. That was when all the companies were getting their rights and working out stuff with Scott and getting permission to make official FNAF stuff. And as everyone knows, Funko ended up being the lucky one of the bunch, and they were able to secure the master license for FNAF, which means that they have exclusive rights to things like standard size plushies, action figures, stuff like that. Or at least they had exclusive rights. Their license has since expired. So Neca had obtained the FNAF Master License around early 2017, and with Funko having the action figure rights, obviously Neca couldn't make anything like that. To the dismay of anybody who might have been interested in them making FNAF merch. But not all hope was lost, because Neca's FNAF license included a lot of stuff that could be very cool. They had permission to make novelty figures, household items, props, lots of stuff that would have potential with the FNAF brand. Just think of the potential of being able to make real-life versions of various items seen throughout the FNAF games, or maybe some cool non-articulated figures or statues. Neca is a company that is capable of putting out very high-quality products, so I think a lot of people were excited about seeing what they would make just because of that. Even if they weren't going to be making action figures, not all hope was lost, right? Well, the product choices that Neca did go with were quite baffling, to say the least. To start with, probably the coolest product they put out was this life-sized Freddy Fazbear statue, as they describe it. Although life-sized is a little generous, because Freddy Fazbear is a lot bigger than this. But honestly, I think this Freddy sculpt is really, really good. Like, all things considered, he's very accurate for the time. We didn't have a lot of FNAF merch that was this close to the original models, and a lot of people do liken him to the Splinks FNAF models, which I do agree he does look a little bit like it, but I think it's purely coincidental. This is very obviously based on how Freddy looks in FNAF 1, and it's pretty accurate. Definitely leagues better than Funko's sculpt, I'll give it that. But what it's not leagues better with is the price. So it's made of foam, not like plastic or anything, so you'd expect it to be maybe a bit cheaper. You know, he is pretty big, but he's not that big. But no, almost $400 for this guy. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's that worth it. I'm known for spending a lot of money on FNAF merch, but I was contemplating if I should get this guy, and I ended up canceling my pre-order because, one, I don't know where I'm gonna put him, and two, I just don't know. I just don't know if I want to spend that much on this guy. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a cool statue, but I don't think he's $400 cool. He has the presence of, like, a cheap Halloween decoration. He looks like he should be, like, maybe $200, and that's pushing it. Another large Freddy Fazbear figure that's also around the same size, which was this animatronic Freddy released by Morbid Enterprises, retailed for $150. And this one lights up and makes sounds and turns its head and stuff, and it moves. And yeah, he looked weird, but tell me, with all those extra features, why is he $200 less? This piece of merch is very cool, but just kind of plain and simple, I don't think he's worth it. But you know, surely this expensive statue wasn't the only good FNAF product that's the only good FNAF product they put out. They released some random junk, like they released like the lunchbox sets, and it's like, who cares? They released a blanket for some reason. And how would your FNAF NECA blanket be complete without your FNAF NECA pillow? That looks like this. Now, this is one of the most iconic pieces of bad FNAF merch, I think, but it kind of makes him beautiful because of it. I own this thing, and I absolutely love it. It is just so stupid looking, His mouth looks like a hot dog bun. There's so many, like, layers to how funny this thing is, and I just love it. He is, without a doubt in my mind, the worst product that Neca put out for FNAF, but that's kind of why he has any appeal. Also, kind of side tangent, but I hate when companies give Freddy plushies this light brown color. It's so, like, inaccurate. Freddy has never been colored like this, but so many plushies do it for some reason. I don't understand. Also, this pillow has a funny feature where you can grab his eyelids and push them up and make him look, like, insane, and I really like this part of it. I'm honestly surprised, because FNAF seems to like referencing its own funny bad merch, and I'm kind of surprised nothing's referenced this thing before. Now, another thing that Neca dabbled in with their FNAF toy line, which one of the few things they actually dabbled in, because we're kind of running out of things to talk about already, they really didn't do much with this license. But Neca started making these props for FNAF. They made a prop Freddy Fazbear top hat, which would be cool, but it's made of, like, cheap plastic. It's clearly just a little prop thing, and on top of that, it has the FNAF logo plastered on the top, which kind of ruins, like, the authenticity of being like, wow, I have Freddy Fazbear's top hat. Like, no, this is a top hat with the FNAF logo on it. They also did a Foxy eye patch with the exact same thing, where it's literally just, like, a generic eye patch roleplay toy with the FNAF logo slapped on it, and, like, these are so lazy and stupid. Freddy Fazbear's top hat has a very unique shape. I feel like it could be a cool replica thing to make. And then Foxy's eye patch, it's like this weird hard plastic thing that only half wraps around his head. You can make a cool prop out of that. Neca had the license to make FNAF prop items that were like actual objects from the game, and that was such a good opportunity, but it feels like they just wasted it. Because again, with the trend of them just slapping the FNAF logo on stuff, they made Faz Tokens, which is similar to what Sanchi did, for example, when they made Faz Tokens, but Sanchis were explicitly designed to look like they were from the FNAF universe. They look like actual arcade tokens that would have been at Freddy Fazbear's. The Neca Faz Token is a golden coin with the animatronics on the front and the Five Nights at Freddy's logo on the back and nothing else, and is so lame. And there were some other roleplay items that were actually cancelled, like this Chica bib, which might have actually been cool. That might have been the coolest one, but no, Chica's bib isn't made. There was also supposed to be an inflatable Bonnie guitar, which I kind of wish they would just make a plastic guitar prop for Bonnie, but still, like, a big Bonnie guitar, that's a cool idea, but this one had to be cancelled for a very specific reason. And if you didn't know, that reason is that the Flying V, which is the guitar that Scott Cawthon based Bonnie's guitar off of, is actually copyrighted, and the copyright owners for it got pretty upset when they found out that FNAF had been using the Flying V design on merchandise and selling it, since Scott hadn't acquired the proper licensing rights for the guitar. Which is why in every newer piece of FNAF media, like Help Wanted, the newer merch, the remastered versions on consoles, even the movie, all use a different Bonnie guitar design, and this is specifically because the copyright owners for the Flying V didn't want FNAF to use it anymore. And rather than sort out the licensing rights, it was easier to just redesign Bonnie's guitar. This inflatable Bonnie guitar is interesting because I think it's the only piece of merch that was planned to use this guitar design but ended up being cancelled because of it. Because Funko's original FNAF merch with Bonnie, like the action figure and the Mystery Mini, both used this original Flying V guitar design. And Funko's re-released Bonnie's action figure several times with the guitar still there exactly how it was. So it seems like the legal agreement they came to with the guitar was something along the lines of, you can keep the guitar and older stuff that it was included in, but anything released after this point needs to change it. And a similar thing actually happened with Glamrock Chica's guitar, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, wow, that was a big side tangent that did not have much to do with Neca, but it had a little bit to do with Neca. So anyway, yeah, Neca kind of wasted their ability to make FNAF props because the only cool thing they made was really, really expensive and everything else was cheap garbage. Now, probably the most infamous Neca FNAF products were the Scalar figures, and this is a weird little toy line that's designed to basically hold on to your headphone cords, but they don't really work all too well because their hands usually can't grip it properly, and they're way too heavy, and they weigh the cord down, and it's really annoying, so I don't know, these are just very impractical figures, and they look like they're doing something rather inappropriate and that's a big reason people tend to talk about these. Like, this toy line is absurd, right? Like surely they knew what it looked like they were doing, right? Like, they're literally attached to a plastic pole inside the packaging. Like, they knew they look like strippers. It's gotta be some kind of joke at the company. Like, this toy line feels like it was created as a joke because the actual purpose of these figures doesn't even work properly. It feels like they just wanted to make figures of characters that were in this pose. And these were some of the only FNAF products NECA even released. So it's like, this is what you're gonna use your license for? You're gonna make these crappy headphone danglers that don't even work and they look like that? The sculpts on these look alright, like, they're not inaccurate, like, they're good representations of the FNAF characters. I'm just confused. Although the Chica is very clearly based on the 1/6 NAS model, but that kind of makes me like it more. But, like, seeing this kind of sculpt work on this and the statue, just utterly wasted because they didn't want to make proper, like, little statues or anything is so confusing to me. Because I genuinely can't see a reason why they wouldn't have been allowed to do it. They just didn't feel like it, really, because what the hell is this, though? Why'd they feel like making this? I remember seeing these at the prize counter at Dave & Buster's, and that's where I got this 2-pack that came with Freddy and Bonnie, and, like, these matching earbuds, and I remember the earbuds just didn't work. Like, right out of the package, they didn't do anything when you plugged them in, and I have no idea where these figures are now, but I do have all of them in box, so I don't really care about that. They also made these light-up versions of Freddy and Foxy, which for some reason are way bigger than the originals, like, very substantially. I only have Freddy and he is in package, but, like, look at this size difference. What is up with this? And they supposedly do light up, but I've never tried this because I've never actually had one of these opened. It's also kind of lame that these bigger versions don't have any paint on them. Like, I get they need to be, like, a color or a material that can be seen through, but, like, you could have thrown some paint on there to make them look a bit less, like, cheap. And these molds still live on somehow, in a very strange way. So NECA had gotten the FNAF license back sometime in 2023, and what they decided to do with it was at New York Toy Fair in 2023, they decided to show off these Five Nights at Freddy's Christmas ornaments, using the same molds from the danglers years ago. And I'll be honest, these are cute little figures, like, I like them, but, like, this is what you do when you get the license back, this is what you make, and the funniest thing is, they didn't even release these still aren't out, I don't know what happened to them. And I'm not really mourning the loss of these, like, they are literally just the scalers in different poses, but, like, I don't know, it would have been something from NECA, although it's like, nobody asked for this. Like, if they had the license still, and they had the option to make more stuff, but this is what they chose to do, it's just like, what's their problem? What is their problem? Is this a joke? It looks like a joke. And literally the only other thing they did with their FNAF license besides tease these new ornaments is they re-released the Freddy statue. And they re-released it right around when the movie came out. Like, they clearly got the license back in response to the movie, but they didn't make anything new with it. And the only thing kind of new they were gonna make didn't even release. It feels like they only wanted to get the license back in 2023 just so they could poop out a re-release of this statue to maybe get some money in from the movie hype. But I just don't understand the point of getting the license back if you're not actually gonna do anything meaningful with it. Like, they really did not want to do much with the FNAF license at any point in time, even during the hype from the movie that they clearly were responding to. It's so strange to me, because NECA is they're such a well-respected company, and they seem to make such good stuff for other franchises, but for some reason, they have just never cared in the slightest about their FNAF license, and I don't know if they ever will. Like, maybe NECA will make some good FNAF stuff eventually, but I honestly am not holding out any hope on it, because it really seems like they just have no respect for this franchise and only use it to make quick garbage to milk money out of it. And I would really love to see what some higher effort FNAF products from NECA could look like, but in the current state of things, it doesn't look like we'll ever see that. And hopefully sometime in the future we can, but at least for now, I think NECA might genuinely hate FNAF because there's no other explanation for this.